Welcome to Sleep Lore. This is where curiosity finds comfort, science takes a gentle path, and sometimes the deepest mysteries of life turn into the coziest stories to lull you to sleep. Tonight, we'll journey beyond the familiar, past the ticking clocks and daily routines, to explore a concept that has quietly whispered through human history for thousands of years. It's an idea that challenges our understanding of beginnings and endings, life and death, and perhaps even the very nature of who we are. We're going to gently open the door to reincarnation, the belief that a soul, or some part of our essence, is reborn into a new body after death. Is this merely a comforting story humanity tells itself, or a profound truth waiting to be fully understood? This idea has woven itself into countless cultures, formed the bedrock of vast religions, inspired deep philosophical thoughts, and even, at times, touched the edges of scientific inquiry. It murmurs in ancient legends, resonates in spiritual practices across continents, and sometimes it surfaces in our quietest moments. Perhaps when we feel an inexplicable connection to a stranger, or an odd sense of familiarity with a place we've never seen before in this lifetime. Does our inner being truly continue its journey through endless cycles, gathering wisdom and experience with each new existence? Or is the idea of rebirth simply a beautiful, intricate dream woven by our minds, a way to make sense of the great mystery of life's continuity? Before we gently delve deeper into these profound thoughts, I'd love to know, where in the world are you listening from tonight? And what are your feelings about reincarnation? Do you hold this belief close, or are you more of a thoughtful skeptic, perhaps seeking explanations closer to what we can physically observe? It's rather fitting, isn't it? A conversation about eternal cycles, and here we are, together, each in our own quiet corner of the universe, connected by an ancient, deeply human question that holds such personal meaning for all of us. If you find this journey soothing, perhaps intriguing enough to gently stir your curiosity before sleep, or simply a nice way to unwind after a long day, I'd be ever so grateful if you gave this video a like. And if you wish to continue exploring the wonders of the universe and yourself in this calm, unhurried way, please consider subscribing and sharing this peaceful space with someone else who might also need a quiet pause. Now, I truly hope this topic isn't so fascinating that it keeps you wide awake. But if it does, well, at least you'll have learned something about one of life's great enduring questions before you finally drift off. So settle in, take a deep breath, slow your thoughts, and let's begin this exploration. Because somewhere between what we believe and what we can prove, between the whispers of eternity and the quiet moments of today, lies the story of reincarnation. Let's begin our soft journey by stepping back into the flowing currents of time, returning to the earliest moments of human civilization. The idea of rebirth, the notion that a soul comes back in a new form, is not a recent thought. It emerged long, long ago, woven into the very fabric of humanity's most ancient stories and deepest beliefs. It offered a way for people to understand life and death, to ponder justice in the world, and to hold on to hope for a gentle continuation. In Hinduism, the concept of reincarnation, often called samsara, stands as an unshakable pillar. They believe that every soul, known as the Atman, is a piece of the ultimate reality, Brahman. When one body gently fades, the Atman does not vanish. Instead, it is reborn into a new body, which could be human, animal, or even a plant. This journey isn't random. It is guided by karma, the sum of all the good and bad actions a soul has gathered in its past lives. A soul that has done much good will be reborn into a more favorable life, and the opposite is also true. The ultimate aim in Hinduism is to achieve moksha, a gentle liberation from this endless cycle of rebirth, a peaceful merging of the Atman with Brahman. In their thoughts, those strange feelings of familiarity, unexpected talents, or fears without clear reasons that a person might carry in this life could be faint echoes from past existences. Buddhism, though it holds a different view on a fixed soul, still embraces the ideas of rebirth and karma. In Buddhism, there isn't a permanent, unchanging soul that moves from one life to the next. Instead, it's seen as a continuous flow of consciousness, a flame of karma and awareness that is passed from one candle to another. The new flame isn't exactly the same as the old one, but it is a direct continuation. The feelings, habits, and karmic forces from a past life gently shape the present and future lives. So, a child with an extraordinary talent for music or mathematics, or someone carrying a deep, unexplained fear, might be seen as signs of a karmic stream that was formed in previous lives. The ultimate goal in Buddhism is to achieve nirvana, a peaceful liberation from all attachment and the ending of this cycle of suffering and rebirth. In ancient Egypt, as we briefly explored earlier, they held a complex belief in various parts of the soul, and the soul's journey after death was profoundly important. While not reincarnation in the same sense as Hinduism or Buddhism, they believed the soul would undergo a judgment process, and if successful, would live eternally in the afterlife. Some old writings even hinted at the possibility of the soul returning to the earthly realm under very specific circumstances. They firmly believed that the mysteries of the spiritual world were very real, closely linked to life and death. Across ancient Greek cultures, particularly within schools of thought like Orphism and Pythagoreanism, the idea of transmigration, the soul moving to different bodies, also appeared. They believed the soul was immortal and could be reborn into various forms, not just humans but animals too. The aim was for the soul to become pure through these many lives and eventually escape this recurring cycle. The philosopher Plato also suggested a concept of anamnesis, or recollection, the idea that we are born with innate knowledge of perfect forms because our souls existed in that world of forms before entering this body. These memories weren't specific personal experiences, but rather deep truths that the soul remembers in this life. Even within indigenous cultures across the globe, the idea of the soul's continuation after death or its rebirth into other living forms is very common. They often believe that ancestral spirits can return to bless their descendants, or that a person might be reborn as a sacred animal. Folk tales and legends about heroes or wise figures who could recall their previous lives also appear in many places, gently passed down through generations. This wide variety of beliefs quietly shows that the idea of having lived before, whether as reincarnation, rebirth, or soul memory, has been a deep-seated part of how humans have always tried to understand their own existence. It offers a gentle sense of meaning to things that might otherwise seem random, such as fears without clear causes, natural talents without formal learning, or strange connections with strangers. It paints a picture of life not as a single start and a single end, but as part of a grand, continuous, and mysterious journey of the soul. Now, let's gently set aside the ancient teachings and philosophies for a moment and listen to the soft voices from our present-day lives. Sometimes, a young child might suddenly begin to speak of another life, a different place, or offer details they couldn't possibly know. These stories don't come from books or movies. They seem to emerge from a deep place within their own memories. One of the most well-known researchers of this fascinating phenomenon was Dr. Ian Stevenson, a professor of psychiatry at the University of Virginia. For many decades, he dedicated his life to carefully gathering and studying thousands of cases of children from all corners of the world, especially in cultures where belief in reincarnation is strong. These children, often between 2 and 5 years old, would begin to tell surprisingly detailed stories about a past life. They might speak of their name in that past life, the names of their old family, where they lived, what work they did, how they died, and even very small personal details. The truly astonishing part was that Dr. Stevenson and his team didn't just write down these stories. They diligently spent time verifying every single detail the child mentioned. They would travel to distant villages, search for the families the child spoke of, and sometimes they found incredible evidence that the details the child recalled perfectly matched the life of a deceased person the child could not possibly have known. For instance, a child might describe having been a man killed by an axe, and upon investigation, they would find such a man had indeed died in a nearby village, with injuries matching the child's description. It wasn't just spoken accounts. Some cases also involved peculiar physical marks. There were children born with birthmarks or birth defects whose locations and shapes surprisingly matched fatal wounds on the body of the person they were said to have been in a past life. For example, a child born with a birthmark resembling a bullet wound, and upon verification, a person was found to have died from a bullet in that exact spot. Dr. Stevenson studied hundreds of such cases. While he always remained careful and never claimed absolute proof of reincarnation, he acknowledged that these cases offered some of the strongest evidence we have so far for something beyond ordinary understanding. Beyond the accounts of young children, there are also stories of adults who experience spontaneous recall, sudden, vivid memories that flood their minds, often during dreams, in deeply relaxed states, or when they visit a new place but feel an overwhelming sense of familiarity. These memories can be highly detailed, sometimes including historical events, forgotten languages, or skills that cannot be explained. Occasionally, these individuals also feel intense emotions tied to these memories, such as sadness, joy, or even anger. Of course, these accounts are often quite challenging to verify in a strictly scientific way. There could be subtle psychological factors at play, or societal influences, or even unconscious imagination. However, the remarkable consistency and precision of some cases, particularly among young children, have quietly led serious researchers to reconsider what we think we know about memory and the nature of consciousness. Is it possible that there's a kind of soul memory that isn't limited by physical time and space, yet can somehow emerge into the human mind? This remains a grand question, but these heartfelt stories have certainly opened a mysterious door to possibilities we might never have imagined. When faced with these intriguing stories of past life memories, the gentle light of science begins to shine, seeking explanations based on what we can observe and measure. Scientists often approach such phenomena with a thoughtful caution, looking for closer, more familiar reasons that might lie within our own brains and minds. First and foremost, we must acknowledge the incredible power of the human brain and its memories. The brain is an extraordinarily complex organ capable of creating incredibly vivid experiences, including dreams that feel so real, it's hard to tell them apart from waking life. In our dreams, our minds can weave intricate stories, detailed images, and intense emotions that, in the moment, we fully believe are real. Even when awake, the brain can sometimes create illusions, especially when we are tired, stressed, or influenced by certain substances. Could these past life memories simply be a very intricate kind of illusion, a subtle confusion between imagination and reality? Then, there's the concept of false memories and the confirmation bias. Sometimes our brains have a gentle tendency to fill in gaps in our memories or to interpret new information in a way that fits what we already believe. If a child hears a story or has a dream, and then an adult suggests it might be a past life memory, the child might unconsciously add details to make the story fit without meaning to mislead anyone. Confirmation bias is our natural inclination to seek out and believe information that confirms what we already think, while quietly overlooking information that contradicts it. This can make stories about past life memories feel stronger and more real in the minds of those who already believe in them. Psychologists also point out that those strange feelings of déjà vu, where we feel like we've been somewhere or experienced something before, are actually a known brain phenomenon. It can happen due to a tiny, temporary glitch in how the brain processes information, creating a mistaken sense of familiarity. Or those recurring dreams about a specific place or event might simply reflect our own worries, desires, or deep impressions from our current life, rather than being echoes from a past one. As for those cases of children with birthmarks that match wounds from a deceased person, science can offer a different explanation: pure chance or coincidence. The human body is an incredibly complex system, and there are countless ways birthmarks or birth defects can appear, many of which we still don't fully understand. The probability of one of these marks randomly matching a specific wound on a deceased person, while seemingly extraordinary, is not impossible, especially considering the vast number of people who have lived and the countless birthmarks that exist. However, the truly astonishing precision of some of these cases remains a quiet challenge to this explanation. And we cannot overlook the gentle yet powerful role of culture and society. In places where the belief in reincarnation is very common, children are often encouraged to speak about their past lives. This can subtly create an environment where such stories are more likely to emerge and be reinforced. Conversely, in places where such beliefs are less common, we rarely hear about similar detailed cases. This suggests that these stories might be influenced by the surrounding environment and the shared beliefs of a community. However, even though science can offer explanations based on the brain and psychology, there still remain significant unanswered questions. How can a very young child, with no prior exposure to a place, describe specific details about a life that no one else knew with such accuracy? Are the current scientific explanations truly enough to cover all the documented cases? Science is constantly advancing, and perhaps one day we will have new tools and methods to understand more deeply the mysteries of memory and consciousness, things that for now we can only refer to as the feeling of having lived before. It gently reminds us that despite how much we already know, there is still an immense amount that the universe quietly holds secret. If past life memories are not simply products of imagination or mere coincidence, then is there a pathway that might lead us to these hidden memories? Some researchers and spiritual practitioners believe that certain altered states of consciousness can gently open a door to deeper layers of the mind, where echoes of past lives might quietly reside, waiting to be rediscovered. One of the most widely known methods used for this is past life regression therapy, often simply called hypnotic regression. In a past life regression session, a person is gently guided into a deeply relaxed state, similar to a dreamlike state or just before falling asleep. In this peaceful state, their ordinary, waking mind, which often acts as a filter, is quieted. The hypnotherapist then gently guides the person to access deep memories believed to be held within their subconscious or within their soul memory, including memories from previous lives. During a regression, individuals might see themselves living another life, in a different time, with astonishingly vivid details about people, places, occupations, and significant events from that life, including how they passed away. They might re-experience intense emotions connected to these past events, feelings of sadness, joy, anger, or even fear. Sometimes they might even speak in a different voice, or use words and languages they do not know in their current life. Those who support past life regression believe it is a powerful tool for exploring the root causes of psychological wounds, unexplained fears, or complex relationships in the current life. They suggest that these present-day issues might stem from painful experiences or unresolved conflicts from past lives. By gently re-experiencing and understanding these memories, individuals can find healing, release themselves from emotional burdens, and gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their life's purpose. Dr. Brian Weiss, a well-known psychiatrist, is a notable example. Initially a skeptic, he changed his views after treating a patient named Catherine. Catherine, under hypnosis, began to recall many different past lives, and the stories of these past lives helped her resolve long-standing anxieties and phobias in her present life. Dr. Weiss firmly believed that these experiences could not be explained by Catherine's imagination or ordinary knowledge. He documented his cases in his book, Many Lives, Many Masters, opening a quiet door for millions who were interested in this topic. However, science offers a different explanation for the phenomenon of hypnotic regression. Neuroscientists and psychologists gently remind us that hypnosis is a state of high suggestibility, where a person is very open to suggestions from the hypnotist. In this deeply relaxed state, the human mind can create complex stories and vividly imagine details without consciously realizing that these are merely products of imagination or hints from the hypnotist, rather than genuine memories. This is often referred to as false memory construction or confabulation. Even if a person has no intention of lying, they can still remember things that never truly happened under the influence of hypnosis. The audience, or the hypnotist, might even unintentionally or subtly provide clues that cause the person's mind to fill in the details. Beyond hypnosis, other altered states of consciousness are also believed by some to open doors to past life memories. These include deep meditation, traditional spiritual rituals, sometimes using natural substances or breathing techniques, or even lucid dreaming, where you become aware you are dreaming while in the dream. In these states, our ordinary waking consciousness is quieted, allowing information from the subconscious or from some deeper place to surface. Those who experience this often feel an astonishing clarity and reality, sometimes accompanied by intense emotions. However, all these methods rely on subjective experiences, which are very difficult to verify objectively. Without independent, outside evidence to confirm the stories told, they remain within the realm of personal experience. Science still has much to learn about the true nature of consciousness, memory, and how the brain creates such complex experiences. Until we can find strong, objective evidence, past life memories accessed through hypnosis or other altered states of consciousness remain a mystery, a soft whisper from somewhere deep within our minds, whose true origin we cannot yet definitively confirm. It gently suggests that the human mind has extraordinary capacities that we are only just beginning to understand. Sometimes, we don't need to rely on hypnosis or the intriguing stories of young children. Instead, right in our daily lives, we might encounter quiet signs of something beyond mere chance. It's that feeling of an immediate, deep connection with a stranger, as if you've known them for ages, or a profound sense of destiny about a certain place, even though you've never set foot there in this lifetime. Could these be the gentle echoes of souls that have met before in distant lives, bonds that still softly linger across the currents of time? Think about love at first sight, or those relationships that seem somehow predetermined. There are couples who meet for the first time, but feel an instant sense of having known each other forever. They might share astonishing similarities in thoughts, feelings, and interests, as if their souls were already familiar with one another. Those who believe in past lives often explain this by suggesting they were lovers, close friends, or family members in a previous existence. Their souls, they believe, recognized each other, and that connection remains strong, transcending the barriers of time and space. And it's not just in romantic love, it extends to other kinds of relationships too. You might meet a stranger and instantly feel an inexplicable dislike or distrust, even though they haven't done anything wrong. Or, conversely, you might meet someone with whom you immediately feel comfortable sharing everything, right from the very first encounter. These strong, unexplainable feelings are sometimes seen as signs of karma that has been carried over from past lives. Perhaps it's an unresolved debt, a past kindness, or a conflict that needs to be gently brought to light, and your soul recognizes and reacts to it in this life. Then there are those strange feelings of familiarity with unfamiliar places. You might visit a city, an old house, or a natural landscape that you've never seen in this life, yet you experience a powerful sense of knowing it, as if you once lived there or walked those very paths. Sometimes, these feelings come with fleeting images, emotions, or even small pieces of knowledge about the place whose origin you cannot explain. Those who believe in soul memories often suggest these are echoes from a past life, where your soul was once deeply connected to that location. And let's consider those unexplained innate talents or strong inclinations. A child might show an extraordinary passion for a particular musical instrument, or an ancient art form, even if no one in their family has similar skills. Or an adult might have an uncanny ability to easily learn an old language, or possess deep knowledge of a historical field that they never formally studied. These abilities, seemingly beyond the explanation of education or environment, are sometimes seen as quiet evidence of skills or knowledge that the soul accumulated in past lives. Of course, science can offer other explanations for these phenomena. Personality compatibility can explain instant connections between people. Our brains are very good at quickly recognizing shared traits and values, leading to a sense of comfort. The psychological effect of suggestion and imagination can also play a role in creating feelings of familiarity with a place. And innate talents can often be explained by complex genetic inheritance or unique patterns of brain development. However, even with scientific explanations, stories of deep connections, feelings of destiny, and unusual talents continue to be told and believed. They touch upon a profound aspect of the human experience, a need to find meaning in what seems random, a quiet yearning to believe that something larger is gently shaping our lives. Perhaps these feelings are indeed whispers from the soul, subtle hints from a distant past, inviting us to contemplate the mysterious and multi-layered nature of existence. If the spontaneous stories of past life memories still feel somewhat fleeting and hard to grasp, then is there a more active method to uncover these hidden echoes? Some people believe there is, through a special kind of therapy known as past life regression or hypnotic regression. This is a path that some individuals choose to seek answers for current problems or simply to satisfy a gentle curiosity about their soul's distant past. Hypnotic regression is a process where a person is gently guided into a deeply relaxed state, similar to a dreamy feeling or just before falling asleep. In this peaceful state, their ordinary waking consciousness, which usually acts as a filter, is quieted. The hypnotist then gently guides the person to access deep memories believed to be held within their subconscious or within their soul memory, including specific recollections from previous lives. During a regression session, the participant might see themselves living another life, in a different time, with astonishingly vivid details about names, appearances, places, occupations, and important events in that life, including how they passed away. They might re-experience intense emotions connected to these past events, feelings of sadness, joy, anger, or fear. Sometimes they might even speak in a different voice or use words and languages they do not consciously know in this life. Those who gently advocate for past life regression believe it is a powerful tool for exploring the root causes of psychological wounds, unexplained fears, or complex relationships in the current life. They suggest that these present-day issues might stem from painful experiences or unresolved conflicts from past lives. By gently re-experiencing and understanding these memories, the person undergoing regression can find healing, release themselves from emotional burdens, and gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their life's purpose. Dr. Brian Weiss, a well-known psychiatrist, serves as a compelling example. Initially a skeptic, his views profoundly shifted after treating a patient named Catherine. Catherine, under hypnosis, began to recall many different past lives, and the details from these lives surprisingly helped her resolve long-standing anxieties and phobias in her current life. Dr. Weiss became convinced that these experiences could not be explained by Catherine's imagination, any tricks, or her ordinary knowledge. He chronicled his cases in his book, Many Lives, Many Masters, quietly opening a doorway for millions around the world interested in this fascinating topic. However, science offers a different explanation for the phenomenon of hypnotic regression. Neuroscientists and psychologists gently remind us that hypnosis is a state where the person is highly open to suggestion. In this deeply relaxed state, the human mind can construct complex stories and vividly imagine details without consciously realizing that these are merely products of imagination or gentle suggestions from the hypnotist, rather than genuine memories. This is often referred to as false memory construction or confabulation. Even if a person has no intention of misleading anyone, they can still remember things that never truly happened under the influence of hypnosis. Sometimes, the audience, or even the hypnotist, might unintentionally or subtly provide clues that cause the person's mind to fill in the details. Beyond hypnosis, other altered states of consciousness are also believed by some to open doors to past life memories. These include deep meditation, traditional spiritual rituals, sometimes using natural substances or specific breathing techniques, or even lucid dreaming, where you become aware you are dreaming while in the dream and can influence it. In these peaceful states, our ordinary waking consciousness is quieted, allowing information from the subconscious or from some deeper place to surface. Those who experience this often feel an astonishing clarity and reality, sometimes accompanied by intense emotions. Still, all these methods rely on subjective experiences, which are very difficult to verify objectively. Without independent outside evidence to confirm the stories told, they remain within the realm of personal experience. Science still has much to learn about the true nature of consciousness, memory, and how the brain creates such complex experiences. Until we can find strong, objective evidence, past life memories accessed through hypnosis or other altered states of consciousness remain a mystery. A soft whisper from somewhere deep within our minds, whose true origin we cannot yet definitively confirm. It gently suggests that the human mind holds extraordinary capacities that we are only just beginning to understand. And perhaps these capacities contain mysteries even deeper than we imagine. Beyond the stories and the memories, whether spontaneous or gently guided, could there be actual physical signs on our bodies or subtle feelings of energy that might be echoes from distant past lives? This is a fascinating area that researchers and those who believe in reincarnation often consider, even though modern science still holds many quiet questions. One of the most frequently mentioned kinds of physical evidence is birthmarks and birth defects. As we briefly touched upon, Dr. Ian Stevenson documented many cases of children born with birthmarks or birth defects, whose locations and shapes surprisingly matched fatal wounds on the bodies of people believed to have died in a past life. For instance, a large, rough birthmark on the back might surprisingly match a severe burn scar from someone who died in a house fire, or a birth defect on the head could correspond to a fatal gunshot wound. These cases, when independently verified, have quietly caused many to reconsider simple coincidence. However, science offers a different explanation for birthmarks and birth defects. They are generally seen as natural variations in fetal development or random glitches in our genetic code. While the coincidences can be truly astonishing, considering the billions of people who have ever lived and the countless birthmarks that exist, the chance of some of them randomly matching a specific wound on a deceased person, while small, is not impossible. Science requires evidence that can be consistently repeated and a clear biological mechanism to explain such phenomena. Currently, we don't have a known biological mechanism that explains how the wounds of a deceased person could imprint themselves onto the body of a newborn child. Beyond birthmarks, there are also unexplained chronic physical pains or unreasonable fears, phobias. Some people experience persistent pain in a specific body area without any clear medical diagnosis, or have strange, intense fears of a particular object or situation, like an irrational fear of water, fire, or heights that cannot be explained by any traumatic experience in their current life. Those who believe in past lives often suggest these are soul wounds or aftershocks from a previous existence, where the soul experienced a traumatic event related to that fear or pain. By recognizing their supposed origin, some individuals find a quiet sense of release. Then there's the aspect of energy. Some people believe that the soul is not just an abstract concept, but a subtle form of energy. They might sense the energy of another person, of a place, or of an object. And this feeling could be linked to what a soul has experienced. In spiritual practices, concepts like chakras, energy centers in the body, or energy fields surrounding the body are often discussed, with the belief that these energy fields might carry imprints from past lives. However, modern science currently has no evidence for these subtle energy forms or energy fields that can carry information about past lives. These sensations of energy are generally explained as subjective psychological phenomena, perhaps due to individual sensitivity, or because belief itself can influence how one perceives things. While we know that everything possesses energy at the atomic level, there is no scientific proof that this energy can store memories from past lives. In summary, physical marks and energy sensations offer an intriguing layer to the discussion of soul memories. They are powerful stories, sometimes very convincing to those who experience or witness them. Yet, by strict scientific standards, they remain in a gray area of coincidence, unexplained phenomena, or complex psychological processes. Nevertheless, they continue to be mysterious whispers from somewhere deep within, challenging us to gently broaden our thinking about the nature of life, of memory, and of what might exist beyond our current understanding. We have journeyed together through the ancient lands of belief, the quiet halls of great religions, and even the bustling laboratories of modern science. Each step has offered a piece of the puzzle, a unique glimpse into the idea of past life memories. But then, as we try to fit all these pieces together, another interesting truth gently emerges. Not every question has a simple, clear answer, especially the grand questions about existence itself, about things that seem to lie beyond our usual understanding. In our gentle exploration of soul memories, we are quietly pressed to face the limits of human knowledge, both scientifically and philosophically. Think for a moment about science, a wonderful way to understand the physical world around us. Science grows by observing, measuring, experimenting, and consistently repeating results. It looks for solid, tangible evidence, for patterns that can be predicted. But what we call soul memories, often described as experiences beyond the ordinary, memories not tied to this physical brain, seem to exist outside of space and time as we commonly understand them. With its current tools and methods, science simply has no way to catch these memories, to bring them into a laboratory, to decipher them objectively. It's a bit like trying to catch a dream with a fishing net. The dream is real. You experience it, but you cannot physically capture it to analyze it. This doesn't mean these memories aren't real. It simply means they are beyond what current science can access. And we must also gently admit that our science, however advanced it has become, is still very young in the grand, flowing story of the universe. Are there laws of physics we haven't discovered yet, dimensions of reality we cannot yet sense, or forms of existence our minds can't quite imagine? Perhaps past life memories, if they are real, exist on a level of reality that we don't yet have the tools to perceive. Much like a person from ancient times couldn't possibly imagine radio waves or electromagnetic fields. Science is always growing and changing, and what we don't understand today might be the starting point for wonderful new discoveries tomorrow. Then there are the limits of philosophy. Philosophy is a wonderful companion for asking deep questions, creating frameworks for us to think about the world and ourselves. It helps us analyze ideas, reason logically, and explore possibilities. But philosophy, unlike science, doesn't offer practical, testable proof. It cannot definitively tell us past life memories are real, or they are just imagination with certainty. Philosophical discussions about the nature of memory, consciousness, and the continuity of the self have been going on for thousands of years and still haven't reached a final conclusion. Each school of thought has its own strong arguments, but no one has yet offered the ultimate proof to settle the debate. And sometimes our very own language becomes a subtle barrier. We try to describe abstract, perhaps non-physical, ideas like soul memories, using words that were created to describe the physical world. It exists, it comes from, it is stored. Are these words truly enough to capture the real nature of something that might extend beyond our physical space and time? We are trying to use a limited set of tools to solve what seems like an infinite puzzle. Perhaps what we call past life memories is an experience, a feeling, an awareness that simply cannot be neatly packaged into any human words. It's like trying to describe the feeling of love to someone who has never experienced it. You can use words, but you cannot convey the full essence of that feeling. So should we feel disappointed or confused when we face these unanswered questions? Perhaps not. Instead, we can learn to embrace uncertainty and mystery. Sometimes the question itself, the very curiosity, the gentle search, is what truly matters, more than a definitive final answer. The mystery of past life memories, of the deep nature of consciousness, of the purpose of existence, has been what has gently sparked human curiosity throughout all ages. It pushes us to explore, to think more deeply, and to find meaning in our lives. It makes life richer, more vibrant, instead of just a predictable set of events. The lack of a perfect, absolute answer also leaves a gentle space for personal belief and individual choice. Each of us can decide what resonates most deeply with them, based on their own experiences, their culture, and their own inner knowing. Perhaps soul memories exist not as physical evidence that science can grab, but as a living experience, a faint but real echo, a feeling of connection that lasts beyond time, an inseparable part of our mysterious human nature. In the vastness of the universe and the great complexity of reality, acknowledging that there are things we don't yet understand and perhaps will never fully grasp with ordinary reason isn't a weakness. Instead, it is a sign of quiet intellectual humility and an open heart ready to embrace wonder. These very unanswered questions have shaped human history, and perhaps they will continue to be an endless source of inspiration for our ongoing journey to understand ourselves and the universe, leading us deeper into the beautiful mysteries of existence. And so, my dear fellow traveler, we have gently reached the very end of this long yet peaceful journey. A quiet exploration through the flowing currents of time and the deepest parts of consciousness. We have sought to ponder together that enduring question: could those feelings of a past life truly be genuine memories of the soul? We have wandered across the desert sands of India, where karma and rebirth shape the flow of destiny. We listened for the soft whispers from children's tales, searched for mysterious birthmarks and unnamed fears. We placed our minds under the gentle light of hypnosis, hoping to open hidden memory doors, and reflected on seemingly fated connections that feel anything but random. We also placed the brain under the microscope of science, seeking explanations for these intriguing phenomena, and gently confronted the very limits of our own knowledge. Throughout this entire journey, we have seen that the idea of soul memory isn't a simple answer, not a straightforward thing that can be easily defined or proven. Instead, it is many things all at once. It's a faint yet very real feeling, an echo from a distant past, a mysterious aspect of consciousness, and a story that our minds are constantly trying to unravel. It is comfort when faced with the unexplainable, inspiration for self-discovery, and hope for a grander journey of the soul. And now, as our story quietly concludes, here you are, a little further along your own personal timeline than when we began. But was it only a few seconds, or many minutes, or perhaps even a full hour that has passed? Or did the gentle flow of words stretch and shrink as it often does when the mind begins to softly settle, drifting into a peaceful space, ready for sleep? So let me ask you once more gently, as I did at the very beginning of our journey. Where in the world are you listening from tonight? And exactly what time is it right now in your own quiet corner of the world? It's rather interesting, isn't it? After all this talk about non-physical things, deep mysteries, about timeless memories, or perhaps even illusions, we still find comfort and a sense of direction in the familiar numbers on a clock, in the quiet hush of the night, and in the feeling of gently winding down for rest. If you found any peace in this quiet exploration, if these questions about soul memory, about the continuation of self, brought you a little comfort, or helped your mind relax gently, preparing for sweet dreams, I would be ever so grateful if you took a moment to give this video a like. And if you wish to continue exploring the wonders of the universe and yourself in this calm, unhurried way, please consider subscribing and sharing this peaceful space with someone else who might also need a quiet pause in their busy life. Soul memory may be a mystery, strange, and perhaps even a complete illusion. But right now, here in this very moment, it is a part of our story, part of the thoughts we share. It is a deeply felt presence in every heartbeat and every breath you take. Sleep well, my fellow traveler, wherever and whenever you are.